Hi, second graders. Wednesday Purple Packet is what we're working on. So if your family helped you print a copy of the Purple Packet, you can use this to see a little better. But I'm also going to just show the screen here and make it nice and large, because I think a lot of these answers you can make your best decision on without me, but then check back in to see if you're right and learn all the things about this as you can, okay? So I'm going to continue telling you the answers and explaining why now. So our first task is, which is the complete sentence? So again, they look plenty long. I see capital letters and end marks, but remember, that could be a trick. We have to really hear that the sentence says all the information, knowing the subject, like who or what it's about, and the predicate, something that explains what the subject did or does or is. Okay, so let's read them to know which is which. Number 1, likes to knit hats and wear in the wintertime. I said that wrong. Likes to knit hats to wear in the wintertime. And number 2, my aunt knits hats to wear in the wintertime. It's sentence 2. That's complete, right? So I want you to think to yourself, what is the subject? The subject is who the sentence is about. Right there, my aunt. And the other part of the sentence is called the predicate. Tells us something the aunt does. Knits hats to wear in the wintertime. Now I know when you look at this one here where it says write the new word, it's not too hard to figure out. You're just going to take one part and connect it to the next part. But the learning to understand is what's happening with this. We have a base word. Our base word is tall. And we know what that means. It means not short, you know. And then we have to know about this. This part is not a word. est, not a word. This thing is known as a suffix. That's what I'm going to type for you to see here. Suffix. It's a word part, and it goes on the end of a word, end of a base word. Every type of suffix has a meaning. est is a word that basically means most. So what would tallest mean then? You could kind of say it in backwards order. Start with the ending parts meaning. Tallest means most tall. So if you said, I don't know, Mr. Jonathan is the tallest person in our school. He is the most tall, right? And we certainly know that we use est when we're talking about more than 2. So there's a lot of people in our school, and he is the most tall, the tallest. I just kind of took a guess as to who that would be, but I know he's a really tall guy. Let's look at our edit the sentence. This is how it sounds. Alice and I read a book, colored a picture, and wrote a poem. That's a lot of things that Alice and the speaker did. So that should give you a hint. Always check sentences for beginning capital. There it is. Also because Alice is a name. And end mark. No end mark. We need one. So what kind of sentence do we have? We have a sentence that's just telling some information. Declarative is the name of the type of sentence in. And that's supposed to be a period then. Not so easy to do with my finger on the mouse. I hope this jumped out at you. We would never leave the word I lowercase. I, the word, is known as the pronoun I, means the speaker, whoever is talking, always is capitalized. Did these people do 3 things? So then we'll have to use commas. This is commas in a series. What's the first thing they did? Read a book, put a comma after that. Next thing they did, colored a picture, put a comma after that. And you never have to put a comma after the last thing, even if it's not at the end of the sentence. Okay. On to the bottom, our first skill, which is a correct word. You are picking, the correct homophone. Homophones are words that we have to learn about because you have to pick the correct one. And the spelling is different for the meaning you need. This one says pear, right? Both of those words we could read as pear. How would the sentence sound? The pear I ate was so juicy. Aren't they talking about the fruit, you know, I could even say like the orange I ate was so juicy. The watermelon I ate was so juicy. So we're talking about food, which is the pair that means food. The bottom one, P-E-A-R, is the food pair. Choice A, pair, is meaning two, you know, like a pair of shoes or a pair of socks, or a couple friends. Hey, you are a good pair to play together, right? All right, our last activity is pretty easy to do if we are just listening to how the choice sounds. The skill you're working on is called subject verb. That's not going to be the word I want if I type it that way. Subject verb agreement. And that means what we have from the subject of the sentence, we have to pay attention to if it's a singular thing or a plural thing. And then our verb choice has to go correctly with that. How would it sound? The little girl dragged her dog everywhere she goes, or the little girl drags her dog everywhere she goes. The one that sounded correct was drags with an S on the verb. So this is kind of one of these little things to keep in mind. If you can't tell by sound, this is the subject. The subject is one little girl. That's a singular subject. So the rule will be put an S on your present tense verb. It doesn't always work that there is one S in the first part or the second part, but it can many times. There's no S in our subject, meaning girl is just girl, not girls. So the verb needs the S instead. So that is our Wednesday. And hopefully you can get more practice with any sort of IXL in language to practice these things too.